you have not already done so, please press the subscribe, like, share, and or follow button. And feel free to share your opinion on the topic and join me in the chat if you so desire. Thank you for joining me today. All right now. Now, yesterday, I mentioned about there being so much going on around us in the world. And every day you can see or hear something that may be even more peculiar than what you saw or heard the previous day. Remember me saying that? Like I said, this is exactly why you have to guard your good judgment, because today is the day that everything is being revealed, and this stuff can consume you and have you accepting nonsense, thinking it is normal when it is everything but normal. So again, I say to you, guard your mind from rubbish that is purposely meant for you to consume, because it can transform you into a sleepwalker. That propaganda machine, that mechanism never sleeps. It's a 24/7 cycle. And we don't want to be falling prey to that siren's call. So guard your convictions against falsehood. Now, as the changing of leadership is about to happen, I am anticipating some unsavory characters to rise from the dust that actually help put it into power. And there's a certain ideology I think that we can expect. And I am starting to see some of it, and I recognize it. Recently, Vogue magazine featured an artist on it by the name of Harry Styles. And for you who don't know, Harry Styles is a white male on the cover of Vogue magazine, and he's wearing a dress. The 26-year-old singer and songwriter Harry Styles has become the first non-female cover star in Vogue, first in 128-year history. He's wearing a variety of dresses and feminine clothing. Now, while many praised him for openly flaunting gendered fashion norms, I think it is yet a sign of what we can expect on the changing of leadership here. Harry said in his interview with Vogue, and I am quoting him, "I'll go and shop sometimes and I'll just find myself looking at the women's clothes, thinking they're amazing. It's like anything. Anytime you're putting barriers up in your own life, you're just limiting yourself. There's so much joy to be had in playing with clothes." He added, "I've never really thought too much about what it means. It just becomes this extended part of creating something. Everything has meaning." He has created something, and it's called confusion. And limiting yourself is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it could be a good thing for a lot of us. And self-control should be practiced more often within this society. Would you agree? Now, everything that appeals to the senses may not be good for the body or the mind. And just because you have a thought or an idea to do something does not always mean it is a good thought or a positive thing. Now, all people thoughts are not necessarily meant for good, nor does it produce good. Case in point, chattel slavery. I'm sure that was a thought in somebody's mind, but it completely destroyed an entire group of people for the sake of some selfish ones. So you are satisfied, but at what cost? And at whose expense? Now, these subtle tactics are again like sowing seeds. You know how the rain, the little drops are falling, then all of a sudden there's a monsoon or a typhoon that destroys the entire region. That's how the little seeds are. They're planted. Then there'll be a tree representing your mentality. Unsuspecting and innocent, unaware mind, little seeds are being sown. I remember a parable in the Bible that stated the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord and God. Before the Lord God. And when God saw them coming, he spoke and said, "Whence comest thou, devil?" And then Satan answered the Lord, "From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down it." Now, does not that mean that one of the men, one of the sons of God, was in fact an imposter that managed to blend in and none were the wiser? Of course, that's an allegory, but it's a warning to the wise. Propaganda works its magic the exact same way. You just find yourself sick and calling poison control, asking who, what, where did this poison come from? Not knowing you've been injecting it in your arm in very small doses all along. Now, this Vogue article tried to imply that he avoids finding his own identity, which is another example of the toxic gibberish the man of sedition peddles to us, and it peddles it to the masses as they herd us to the slaughter, trying to imply that it is perfectly normal for a man to wear a dress or even a child to determine their own sex. Okay. Just imagine you're in the labor and delivery room. You and your husband, if you're a woman. So, sir, ma'am, you just had a baby. A baby what? Really, people? No one has to tell a male animal of any species he is indeed a male, or what his duty is as a male. And the same is true with the female of any species. It is written in its DNA, and they exhibit what is in their nature. Check out the lion, the wolf, a rat, the bear, even a mosquito. You don't go tell the man, rat or bear, you're really not a male. They are in harmony with nature, and they know what it is that they are and what they're supposed to be. It's only us that are allowed to be tampered with and confused, questioning whom or what we are. But then here comes a man on the planet, a hybrid of sort, that tries to change what is natural and what is in our nature. And he has fooled a multitude into thinking that they are what they are not. And they use science to assist them and support them in this foolishness. So all you science believers, no species besides the human animal will even allow anything to dictate to them what their nature is. They just do it. It requires a lot of mental manipulation, but there have always been mad scientists in this world. They try to test their theory and hypothesis, and we're just the guinea pigs. That's right. They don't just splice genes and perform all manner of scientific exploration on animals for nothing. It is what they do. There have always been mad scientists with the intent or goal of finding out about as much information on how something naturally behaves, how it behaves in nature, so they can alter it to satisfy some of their deviant psychotic ideas. Yep, science and scientists have always been used to observe, study, and understand characteristics and behaviors. And they often analyze this data based on a hypothesis. And sometimes the hypotheses come from several areas or fields of study. But what is an hypothesis? A hypothesis is just limited evidence. Really, it's just a belief, a possibility, an assumption. But we will often take a hypothesis because science is attached to it, or scientist. That title matters, so we'll just take it as fact. Black people gave science to the world, real science and math to the world. But I would say today, question the scientific information you receive. That's right. We have to question science. It is not always accurate. It is not even precise all of the time. Even when it has been properly, or we think it has been properly observed, analyzed, and researched, let another scientist do it. Sometimes different eyes give you a different perspective. And even then, the data and the results aren't always used for good, or at least not always for your or my good. And for many of them, they claim to have good ethics. But whose ethics are we talking about? They have open minds. That's a requirement for a scientist. But whose mind? But truly, they are also proof that there is always the chance that a tainted personal view can yield or even cause one to consciously or subconsciously give false results or shade in scientific experimentation. So no, I don't simply accept scientific explanation as it is presented. Question, question, question. Then, after you get through questioning it, get a second opinion. Because sometimes tiny observations can be overlooked, and they can yield a totally different result. When you perform experiments, you have to be careful. And unless they are open-minded and willing and able to accept whatever the outcome of their research and experimentation reveals to them, they can taint it towards their own egotistical agendas and cause someone with an idea in their mind that they want a particular result. Some of them can make it so they can have that result. They tend to try and control information that has been learned from the natural order of things to try and introduce what is unnatural. Sometimes in order to change or create or even recreate something, they can have order over, and it allows them to manipulate it. No, data can be manipulated. And people do manipulate data all the time and use it as they see fit. That's why they call them mad scientists. You want proof? Can anyone recall that scientist who said there was a link between race and intelligence? Scientific racism. That was a claim that there are evolutionary bases for disparities in social outcomes such as life expectancy, educational attainment, wealth, and incarceration rates. They even said, this is what scientists said. That means they studied, right? They blame your melanin. A group of scientists said this. These scientists measured brain. They researched DNA, and they came to a conclusion that black people fare worse than white people because they tend to be less naturally intelligent. However, you are the original people on the earth that gave science to the earth and math. But they believe that certain races are inherently more intelligent than others. Rockwell justified his belief that blacks were inferior to whites by citing a long 1916 study by Ferguson, which claimed to show that the intellectual performance of black students was correlated with their percentage of white ancestry. That is just pure ridiculous. Then let's talk about this other scientist, Dr. James Watson. He was considered to be one of the world's most respected scientists, and he claimed that black people are less intelligent than white people. And then they gave him a Nobel Prize. Did you all know that? This was a scientist. These are scientists that I'm talking about. He had a Nobel Peace Prize. A Nobel Prize. He's a Nobel Prize winner for his part in discovering the structure of DNA. He was a geneticist, and he even ran one of America's leading scientific research institutions. But he was gloomy when it came to the prospect of Africa, because all of his studies, his hypotheses, and his policies said to him that it was based in fact that their intelligence is not the same, whereas all the testing says not really, when he tried to test them against their white counterpart. Who set up those tests? What kind of tests were they? Question data. And people who call themselves scientists, we need to question science. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's what is at the root of science. He said that he hoped that everyone was equal, but countered that people who have to deal with black employees find that this is not true. Now, does that sound like you could trust his scientific conclusive information on anything? Is it ethical? Is it unbiased? Would you question his research? It sounds like what it is. It's just bull crap with a cute little racist bow sitting on top. Now, we are the real scientists. We just lost the desire. It was taken away from us. That was natural to us, to study nature, astronomy, biology, and to closely observe and predict what is going to happen within the world and around us. We are natural scientists. But some mad scientists just been experimenting trying to alter our nature. But it is us, we're still here. We can't allow ourselves to be confused and willing parties to this madness. Yes, we are indeed today mentally confused. But when you see a male in a dress, it's pretty clear in my mind what I am looking at. And I don't have to be told or have somebody interpret it for me. I know what it means. And I know why. Now, if this is your lifestyle, I think it's pretty clear what that means. But there is this idea that if there is objection to this, that this is sometimes thrust in your face, that there should not be objection simply because it has become acceptable by some. Smoking is acceptable. Drinking is acceptable. Even marrying and dating 3 people at a time is acceptable. But not all people find that attractive or even decent. And they're perfectly within their rights to reject it. As much as others would push to make it normalized, it's not acceptable to everybody's palate. And that doesn't have to do with hate at all. You can reject a lifestyle and still love a person. It's the behavior. So now we're speaking on confusion. I want to share with you something. Candace Owens, of all people, actually spoke out and gave her 2 cents on this matter involving Harry Styles. And this is what she had to say about the Harry Styles man in a dress issue of Vogue. Here is what she said. Take a listen. I don't disagree with her on this, but listen to it.
All right, guys. Bring back manly men. Who would have thought that that would have caused an absolute firestorm? Something as basic as saying that men are good for our society causes a firestorm, of course, on the left, because the left hates anything normal. Basically, if there's anything that looks remotely normal, the left sees it and they want to tear it down. They just cannot stand the idea that things are functioning and things are working and things are normal. Case in point, a man wearing a dress. Now, first off, let me just clarify something. When I originally tweeted about this was not an attack on Harry Styles. He happened to be the man in the dress, but really it was more of an attack on Vogue and the culture in general that is trying to shove this down our throats, right? This turning women into men and turning men into women has been the move on the left as of late, right? Women should want to go to work. You don't need a man. Shave your head. Dye it pink. Make yourself ugly, right? Because that's feminism and that's power and that sticks us to the patriarchy. Men, put on a ball gown, right? And strut on Vogue because somehow that shows that you're not normal and that's really empowering and forward. And quite frankly, I do not find men in dresses to be attractive. Women do not find men in dresses to be attractive. Do not believe women that are sitting here telling you, oh, I would love for my man to wear a gown on our wedding day. It's just not true. That's just woke, leftist feminists, and typically people that follow Hollywood trends. Question I want to ask you guys about Hollywood, because this was almost the biggest issue that I was hitting at. When's the last time they've ever promoted anything good or anything functional? Just think about it. You can write it right now. When is the last time Hollywood has ever promoted anything good or anything functional? Right? Hollywood is the conduit to all bad ideas. Anything that they are glorifying in Hollywood, you can guarantee you is going to ruin your life, right? So they want you to think that they're these little demigods. So suddenly Harry Styles puts on a dress and that's just what everybody should be doing, right? Or, oh, this is powerful. Quite frankly, from people who don't play the Hollywood game and live in the hills, if I see a man in a dress, I think he's a crackhead. Period, right? If you see that stuff, if you live in the projects, if you live on the streets and you see somebody wearing a dress, you assume that they have mental issues. And I want to be very clear, this is my opinion, I would never allow my kids near a man that's wearing a dress. That's my personal opinion. You can call that however you want to call that. I don't need to be woke to pretend that this sort of stuff is normal. It's not normal. It's completely not normal. To feminize men and to keep pretending that this is progressive. It's not progressive. I said what I meant. There is no society that can survive without strong men. People are sitting here critiquing that statement. Show me the society that survived without strong men. You have a whole lot of human history for you to look at, right? Men, the role of men is to defend, it's the role to protect. So all of you men who are sending pictures of you in a dress and saying, I'm still a man or I'm still a manly man, I am not calling on you when there's a world war. I am not calling on you when I'm in an emergency, okay? You can wear your dresses. Nobody has sat here and said, if you're a man in a dress, something bad should happen to you. I don't believe that. I believe people should live and do as they want. But I think it is wrong for our society to keep perverting things, to keep putting in the forefront forms of perversion, okay? Let me give you a couple of forms of perversion that people in Hollywood like to promote, aside from men wearing dresses, which I believe to be a perversion. It is perverted to me. I do not like seeing it. I am never going to promote it, and I'm not going to shove about that. A perversion is that Hollywood people, Hollywood elitists, also a bunch of women telling, abortion's the best thing ever. I loved my abortion, Jamila Jamil, Miley Cyrus, abortion, right? That's her thing, abortion cake. That is a perversion, right? Women should be doing the exact opposite of that. Women should be nurturing. That is, women should think about how do we protect our children? How do we raise children? Not how do we rip them out of our bodies and glorify that. They glorify killing babies. They glorify men in dresses. They glorify WAP, WAPs, hitting the ground, 13-year-olds twerking and dancing, right? This is disgusting. This is everything the left and the Hollywood touches is a perversion. You cannot tell me, when is the last time you've seen Hollywood be like, let me promote this guy who goes to church on Sunday? That's a masculine man, by the way. People sitting here talking about, masculinity means you want men to beat you, like the dichotomy between wearing a dress, like if you don't wear a dress that means that you beat women, is completely crazy. It's completely crazy. Let men be masculine. I like men that protect women, okay? Does that mean you beat women? You're sitting here glorifying people like Cardi B who are telling you it's to put your vaginas on the floor, right? And talk about what you can do with men behind closed doors. And Hollywood says, yay, let's make that viral. Harry Styles, yay, in a dress, let's make that viral. Miley Cyrus ripping live human beings out of your vagina, yay, so powerful, let's make it viral. You are all disgusting. I genuinely believe when I said Hollywood is satanic, I believe that from the bottom of my heart because I cannot think of something good that has come out of Hollywood. Tell me, what is it? Go, tell me what it is. Tell me what it is that you guys are glorifying. All of you little kids who are too young to understand that they are putting you on a path that is going to ruin your life. Examine the lives of the people. You may think they have money. Examine their personal lives of those celebrities that you follow. Actually go examine their personal lives and tell me if that's a life that you think you aspire to. Ask yourself a question. Do you think that person is happy? For everyone who keeps throwing me all of these rockers who wore dresses, okay, they were also all on drugs, right? Look at Kurt Cobain wearing this dress, Candace. Oh, he looked like a person that was very stable and mentally healthy. Let me go try to live my life like that. And again, this isn't an attack on Harry Styles. He just happened to be the man in the dress on the cover of Vogue. I like his music. Seems like a nice enough kid. I am talking about the fact that celebrities promote this stuff that in the end is toxic and harmful to establishments in this society, the biggest one being family. Everything the left does and touches, everything that these Holly weirdos promote is about destroying basic values that work. A nuclear family, a yin and a yang in the household, having a feminine and a masculine figure who raise solid kids with good values, kids that don't believe in twerking when they're 13 years old on the internet, kids that believe in that there is something bigger than themselves. The strand of narcissism that we see going through Hollywood is so satanic. I mean, Olivia Wilde telling me I'm pathetic. You're pathetic. Your whole Instagram is dedicated to you trying to make people believe you're a good person. Oh, but another black person died. Let me put it on my Instagram and show people how much I care. If you're not doing anything to show you care because you're posting on your Instagram, nobody cares about your black squares, Hollywood. Honestly, it's all about you all the time. And for all of you guys that are running around saying, oh, she's doing this for attention, I wasn't the person that put on a dress and went on the cover of Vogue. That would be for attention. Because at the core of these people who you think are subversive and progressive and forward is a desperate need for attention, and they can never do enough to get that attention. This isn't about them being fulfilled or being happy or being comfortable in their own skin. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Virtually every person I've met in Hollywood is dying a silent death. They're unhappy, they're not fulfilled, they don't have the things that we have. I mean, I am happily married, got a kid on the way that should be here in 8 weeks. I don't find the need to put my vagina on the ground to show people how empowered I am. Forgive me. I don't need my husband to be in a dress strutting down the street because he's comfortable in his own skin. As I said, it's quite the opposite. I think what people are really upset about is that conservatives are not backing down to these Holly weirdos anymore. Okay, we don't need to sit here and pretend that any of the stuff that they are putting out is normal. Like, we can talk about family values, we can talk about men being men and women being women, and I'm so tired of society's attack on masculinity. Masculinity is sexy. Swing an axe, take care of your family, fish, hunt, shoot, do whatever it is that you do. Let the guys hang out with the guys. That stuff is not toxic. That stuff has been in this society for a very long time. Since the beginning of humanity, we've had men protecting and defending. We've had women nurturing, and Hollywood, you guys are a bunch of clowns. Nobody cares. Genuinely, nobody cares what you think. Thanks, guys, for enjoying my little chat here on Instagram.
Okay, that was quite interesting. Okay, that was Candace Owens speaking in regards to Harry Styles. And I don't think there's anything else to say on this issue. I've had my say, and I want to know what you think about it. Subscribe, like, share, and leave me your comments. I want to thank you for listening, and I will see you next time on Discussions with Dena.